just an open relationship. Ah, live.
No way. Are we live?
Live on YouTube.
It says live.
Oh, I believe it when I see it. Let me see.
Says
Meeting is now showing live. I'm sorry, but I'm not believing it. I know.
It's live on YouTube. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry, but usually I have a window for this and I don't see the window. Okay. Now it's pulling up. Interesting. This is a little bit strange. Oh boy, folks, just bear with us.
There it is.
No, but I'm supposed to have a window that opens with this live stream in it, and it's not open. But you know what? We'll just go with it. We'll just go with it.
Start recording it.
Yeah, it says it on.
Okay, so let's do it, folks. We've had a little bit. Okay, I'm recording now on my end. So we've had some trouble connecting, but you know what? I'm pretty persistent, and we did prevail. And Scott and Vicki Werner are with us today, and we are all, praying and holding the light here. So let me get started then. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host, Louisa. This is Sunday, April 5th, 2020, and this is GoldFish Report number 476. My guest today, as you can hear, is Dr. Scott and his wife, Vicki Werner, who are two of my favorite people who I love having join me on the GoldFish Report. And this is part of our Food for the Soul series. Thanks to Scott. I came up with that. And this is truly food for the soul, folks. For a good Sunday morning, you can't get it any better than this. What Scott and Vicki are going to be talking about today is this global transformation. In fact, it's going to be a discussion, but it's about this global transformation that we're currently going through, and the role that love, how love can help us through this. And Scott and I talked last week about love, and it really is a topic that it's my favorite topic in the world, actually. But it's not something we get to talk about. It's not something people can easily talk about. And so we're hoping to facilitate a little bit easier conversation about that today. So let me just say, welcome, Scott. Good to see you back here.
Thank you. And I'm so grateful to have my better half with me. And
and Vicki, just a pleasure. A darling person, a strong, a steel magnolia, folks. This is a very amazing woman who I admire. Thank you so much for coming and joining us today, Vicki.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, a true steel magnolia, folks. You know, you don't really know what you have in you until you're put to the test, and that's why we're here, right? And there's just some people in our lives who can show us that you can prevail and prosper even after you go through, major transformations. I mean, I hate to use the tarot as an example, but when a tower card comes in and completely wrecks your life, there is rebuilding after that. It's just that the tower is pretty hard to handle sometimes. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Yeah, a lot's going on in the world. We've got the world on shutdown, lockdown. You see videos of people from different places in the world trying to make the best out of it. People in their villages in Italy, out of their balcony windows, all playing different instruments to the same, favorite Italian local music and things like that. That's beautiful. You see other people trying to help put food and packages and things together for elderly or people who can't get out or whatever. But we're also seeing, I have to admit, I mean, it's also a little bit scary that we are seeing such drastic restrictions of our freedoms, and that's something we have to be really careful about. But we shouldn't be in fear, as Scott talked about last week. So Vicki, why don't you start by giving us a little idea of how we can get through this global transformation, because we really are unsure as to where it's going.
Well, I'll first start with the fact that the energy that's going on in the planet right now, people who are familiar with astrology or study astrology, and whether you believe that it has an impact on us or not, there's certain energy that's present. And I think all of us would recognize that there's been a little bit more intensity in our emotions. Things are coming up, and we all have an empathic nature, but the configuration that's going on as from an astrological standpoint is, I won't go into a lot of details. I don't study astrology extensively, but I am aware of certain energy that's present. And I will say that it doesn't ever override our free agency, but it is a certain energy that's present. And that there's certain configurations that have never been present since the American Revolution. There are certain presentation of energy that was present during the releasing of slaves, and when there is certain presentation that's available right now, that is when we were going through the huge depression. And so all of those were really big events, and that energy and configuration is all present simultaneously right now. And so all of these points of our history were huge transformational times, and it was global, because we know the United States had an impact on the whole world, and right now there is a global transformation. And so I keep seeing the image of the caterpillar, and we're in that mushy stage right now, that the caterpillar is going along munching the leaves, and that's how we've been existing in life. And we hear the language where people are asleep, and nobody's going to look at their own life and go, well, I've been asleep. And not recognize that. But we have been unconscious. We've been unconscious of our behaviors. We've been unconscious of our thoughts. We've been unconscious of our emotional state. And that's where we've been asleep. And since 2012, there's been this language that's been around people who have been on the forefront of change and transformation and towards the ascension, and all of this language. We've been saying, when is this going to happen? We know that it was destined. We know that there was an element that was supposed to play itself out in order for us to get to this next level. We also know there has been horrific experiences on this planet. And you hear historically when the Germans were saying, why didn't you do any, when people would say to the Germans, why didn't you stop what was going on? Why didn't you call out what was going on? And a lot of the language that took place right then was, we didn't know. We didn't know how bad it was. And I think those of us who are paying attention, it's really hard to watch. It's really hard to see something and feel helpless. And I think there is, Scott and I have conversations. We are being protected in our homes, and we think with this level of restriction, and we feel angry or agitation, and all of a sudden people are talking about how their husbands are home, and they're thinking we're having new normal, and we have our kids that are sleeping in instead of going to school. And so everybody's adjusting to this new normal, and it takes these kind of experiences to wake up. Now, wake ups usually will happen under trauma and crisis, because there's never been a motivation that's internal big enough for us to start asking the bigger questions. And here we are, folks. And we have an option here. And people who choose to stay asleep, that, free agency is never going to be overridden. And you can binge watch Breaking Bad,
all these horrible movies
all day long, but you're going to stay at the same state. And we're here to say this is an opportunity. And rather than engaging in fear, engage in love, and understand transformation doesn't feel good because we're out of our comfort zone, and our subconscious and our body and mind is doing different. Our behaviors are different. And we start asking, well, this doesn't feel good because it's not familiar, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just we're going through change, and engaging the emotional self is a really great way to start. I've been thinking very strong right now that historically this time right now is going to be talked about for generations and generations. It's going to be in the textbooks down the road. Of our great grandchildren are going to have these conversations in their schools about what took place now. And we are in a moment of history that is being taken place right now. And so my suggestion is start journaling about this. Take some time and journal about what's going on in your thoughts, in your mind, how your lifestyle is different, how gas prices have gone down, how food prices have gone up, how people are bartering with toilet paper. Nobody would ever believe that 5 years ago, or even, 6 months ago. But there is transformation that's taking place. So definitely journal about it. Document your own personal experience, the conversations that's going on in your family. Definitely work on emotional management. I never use the language of controlling your thoughts or controlling your emotions, because that feels like this shutdown, and we're trying to, and then when we feel bad when we don't, and it's this attention of that. But have awareness of the thoughts that you're having, have awareness of the behaviors that you're having and the emotions that you're having. And when emotions come up that feel intense, or when you notice that you're numbing yourself, I know people are using more numbing agents. That could be television, that could be alcohol, that could be recreational. And it's what that really is saying is something inside of me doesn't feel comfortable, and I need to do something or introduce something that could also be binge eating, something to numb that emotional state, and a healthier expression of that, especially when people feel confined. Humans are not meant to be in prison. We will find a way to find an answer. And I think all of us have had moments where we feel like a caged animal, and we can't leave our home, and that feels very constrictive. And even though we can technically walk outside of our home, and we have a yard and a large enough home that we can find our own personal space, even I feel that, and I'm aware of this. And so I know that if I'm feeling it, and I have the resources that I do about being able to be in my yard and be with our dog and our children, I know that people are feeling very, very confined right now. And emotional management is a really healthy thing to express right now. And I have a lot of ways that I would personally use. One of them would be to just talk out loud what's going on inside of your mind. Have a conversation out loud of going, wow, I don't like how this felt. I'm aware that I'm going to the refrigerator in the pantry 3 extra times. I'm aware that I'm eating things differently than I would normally do. And having this dialogue, you know how when we have a conversation with our best friend, and just saying it gives you some understanding of what's going on. And so having a dialogue with yourself out loud of what's going on. Now, we've all heard this meme that's coming through about talking with your toaster, and how the washer spins it on a different cycle, and the refrigerator is being cold and distant. And, that joke's going around right now. But having a conversation out loud is a way to start feeling those emotions. Another suggestion that I would have is, if there is someone in your history who went through the Depression, or went through slavery, or went through some kind of big experience, write a letter to their soul, write a letter to them, and ask from a soul level, like, this is what I'm feeling right now, and I feel uncertain about my job, and I feel uncertain about what this means for my family, and is my life going to be the same? And then just express all of those emotions on paper, because it awakens the subconscious and it pulls that energy out on paper. And then turn the page, be in prayer or be in a quiet moment, and put the pen to the paper again, and allow that channeled energy. Now, I come from an understanding of there is an eternal present moment. Everything exists simultaneously. And so we're not distant from that ancestral energy, that we can even write a letter to Abraham Lincoln if you want, or what that was like, or we can write a letter to our founding fathers, or whatever your connection is. Trust the process, and then just put your pen to paper and just allow what comes out. Now, when whatever comes out, you may say, well, I feel like I'm making that up, or I feel like that isn't accurate, or I feel like they would say something different. Maybe, but whatever came through with purpose. So there's messages in that. So Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just love our viewers. We're getting some. I just want to give you some feedback. The people are so wonderful. They really are. They're saying hi from Liverpool. Hi, Scott and Vicki from Paula. Um, Diana from Florida. We have Faith from West Australia. We have Diana from Florida. I said we have Sissel from Norway. We have, who do we have up here? Paula from Liverpool, UK. Wonderful people. We've got some people from Texas. What have we got? We got to have our Texans. Come on. It's not going to be a Sunday morning without our Texans. That's Lady Tressa from Houston. Good morning, Houston. Lovely people. Lots of hearts, rows and rows of hearts in here. Lots of people. And then we have some folks. Okay, so the wonderful Werners are in the house.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us in your homes.
Right. And someone wrote, oi, the Rocksteady crew. So true. And that's very good. So hello, Heather from Boulder, Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We also have some people who are making comments saying that they're using homeopathic remedies, trying to hold as much light as possible. That's Paula. Uncertainty is the worst feeling. That's exactly what you're talking about, Vicki. Now, I told y'all she was great, didn't I? So your advice has really been wonderful, but what's really funny is how I love to see the two of you together. I'm looking at you, both of you on the screen, and you look like two halves of a heart. That's a whole heart. You're just so beautiful together. And you just have this energy that just makes one. I mean, I've never seen this so beautiful in a couple before. And it's really beautiful to see the two of you like that. And we also have someone saying about, let's see. Yeah. So what about talking about this? Your advice is good, and it is a very unsteady. It is a horrible feeling, and you are saying it's a great idea to write it down, give it a voice, but don't dwell on it. Right after you write it down and you express it, you acknowledge it exists. This feeling of uncertainty or feelings of something maybe that you want to express to people that you can't, and you write that down. You don't dwell on it, though. Once you get it out, then what do you do?
Well, there's a few options that I personally use and suggest. One of them is like a write and burn kind of thing, or write and destroy.
I must have telepathically sent that to her. Write and burn.
And the language that we start with, rather than saying I am, because we know that whatever follows I am is going to find you, and we identify that is. Now, uncertainty and upset and angry is not who we are. It's an emotion that we feel. It's a sensation that's going on in our body. So I suggest, and we even do this with our children when they're having a rough day at school or they're having some challenge, is we say, grab a piece of paper and start at the top of the page, I feel, and then identify those emotions. Now, again, I will say that anger is probably one of the most common feelings, but anger is a mask of fear and uncertainty, because it, as I've mentioned before, especially in men, that showing up as uncertain or fearful is not socially accepted, but anger is. And so coming from a space of whatever emotion you're feeling, I feel, and identify that, because, and identify that. And sometimes it just, and I suggest going deeper. You can maybe think that you're only going to write 2 or 3 sentences, sit with it, allow more to come up, and then just keep doing it. And there has been times that I literally have torn my paper because I've written so hard and so much intensity coming out. And there is an enormous amount of intensity globally right now. And so write it until you feel like you've released it. Get it all out of your system. sit with it for a moment, see if there's another layer with that, and know that the emotions can change, because once you've got one out, then you're like, oh, actually the feeling I'm feeling is uncertain, or actually the feeling that I'm feeling is, you know, embarrassed that I can't take care of my family, or sad that things are going on that I didn't know about, or whatever those things are going. Write them and get them all out. And then once you're finished with that, one of the things you can do is take it out to your barbecue grill and start it on fire. You can tear it, you can shred it, you can do whatever you can to destroy that. And here's my side language with that. Don't go share it with somebody else. Don't go throw up on somebody else. It makes them feel bad, especially if it involves somebody else. Don't keep it in a journal, because you don't want to revisit that. Get it out and get it out. And then once you feel that, there's a sense of release. You may feel invigorated because you feel lighter, or you may feel more tired after that because that was a lot of processing. So both of those are options. And then once you do that, identify where you want your attention, and it has to be conscious. And so where do I want my attention? Now, Scott and I would say the number one thing that's caused even us, we don't ever have conflict. I would say twice a year we have a time where, like, I don't like how this conversation is going. But just this week alone, there's been a little bit more awareness of tension. And so we've had to, like, agree to, like, take a breath and come back to it. And
He's laughing. Yeah, look how Scott's laughing. Okay, that's revealing. No,
transformation does transform energy. We've had to transform a lot of energy this week. But it's a global transformation happening through us as individuals. Transforming.
It was a powerful meditation last night, by the way, for anybody who participated. I'm telling you, my crown chakra was like buzzing and buzzing. Like, I could feel a lot of people in the collective consciousness, like, joining in on this. You can tell, right? So let me just say this. Someone is saying, and this is great, and let me go to Scott, because someone's saying here, I feel gratitude because I'm not sick. I have food and shelter.
That's awesome.
Scott, I mean, we talk about this because gratitude vibrates, and you talk about this on the report, but let's talk about it again. It vibrates at a higher frequency. Do you want to talk about this?
Oh, absolutely. Gratitude is the ultimate vibration that actually helps convert the torus around our body, our energy electromagnetic field, and it makes it so a secondary field comes in that actually will start bringing in the blessings of heaven. And so gratitude is the ultimate receivership. It opens us up to possibilities. It opens us up to transformation and transmutation. I want to talk just a hair about transmutation, because we are transmuting all of the unnecessary energies that are out there. There's been a lot of really interesting negative energies around planet Earth, but we are transmuting that energy into good energy again. It's like the violet flame is coming through into us and transmuting all of the negative energies. And the lords of karma are here taking our karmic debt and paying for it. Literally, they are removing our karma from us so that we can move on and transmute and transform ourselves into who we're supposed to become.
And Vicki, did you want to, in terms of gratitude, this is right there with love, but let's finish on gratitude, because I have a feeling you might be able to add to that a little bit too.
Well, gratitude, the emotion of gratitude is a receivership. It's already been there. It's already shown up. And so when you want whatever you want in the world, you have to walk as if and raise yourself to that level. And so when people have this conversation with themselves about, I don't know what, when you say, well, what do you want? Most people really don't know what they want. If we had to if we had to really dial in and say, well, what do you want right now in this moment? They may know that what they want is different than what they feel right now, but they don't know exactly where they want to go. Having a space of gratitude and opening your heart to it opens your heart, and we can have, well, what have you been grateful for? The answer is perfect, what was already said, that you're not sick right now, that you have food, that you have toilet paper, that you know, that with your family. I've actually really enjoyed this time because our kids are home every night. We have family game night. Our meals are together, which we have teenagers, and so we've struggled trying to have those moments with our kids. And we've joined forces together. And you know, last night we played a game at the table, and there was a lot of laughter, and it was a lot of fun. And I left the evening feeling a lot of gratitude. When you have gratitude, whatever energy you want to accomplish already exists in your energetic field, and it draws it to you. And whether you don't necessarily have to identify all the elements of it, but you raise yourself to that emotional state and you draw yourself up to a higher level of consciousness.
And world transformation is going to be through individual transformation. In other words, all of us need to shift our consciousness into a higher consciousness, and this is going to actually be what transforms the world.
Sorry about that. I had to sneeze a little bit. Yeah. And so this is interesting because it's a real test. I mean, some of us, what about people who are stuck with someone that they really rub the wrong way? What if you're stuck in a house in this quarantine with,
which, you know, that's happening.
And it's like such challenging energy, and you're trying to do right, but they just keep triggering you and you just can't help it, and you're just trying, and you going back and you're reviewing and you're saying, could I have done this better? Can I do this different? Do I need to have this way? Can I not? I mean, it's like a total breaking down, because like otherwise you're going to have war all the time. So it's kind of like, it's really challenging for some people. They're not always with people. They may love them, but they may not get along very well with them, and they may have to be stuck together for one reason or another. But it's difficult. It's difficult because, as you said, people are looking for escapism and or numbing, you said, and I kind of look at it as escapism from psychology terms. And so it's like the alcohol or the television, Netflix. That's, oh God, Netflix. You know, this junk that's on Netflix. I can't even believe it. I'm sorry. This is horrible stuff. I mean,
horribly bad. Yeah.
It's horribly bad. I mean, you should have seen this one horror film of this alien that's underground, and it comes up and it's like this big cockroach. It's like, really? You're not even scary. I mean, it's like terrible. It was horrible. Like 3 C-rated films. It's horrible stuff. Sorry.
Simultaneously, there's some really great documentaries on. There's some really great awakening experiences going on. People who have, like Gaia TV has incredible information and messengers that are coming out. It's been kind of funny because I've joked inside of my head that one of the blessings of what's going on is now we know everyone who has our email, because we don't, like, where's my email out there in the whole World Wide Web? We know who that is because we've been getting countless emails from every source that's ever had our email in the last 10 years. Back to living with someone who feel like there's a contention. This is really hard to hear for every one of us, including myself. And I am never going to come from a space that I've arrived, but from the consciousness of the soul, that for those who aren't aware of it, as a regression therapist, I really respect the experience of coming together for soul healing, for soul alignment, for soul growth, for soul lessons. And I believe very strong that we choose people in our family, our immediate family, our children, our spouse, parents. We choose them to awaken an aspect of ourselves that needs healing. And so when we have this interaction with someone, in order to look at it, there has to be some level of awakening. Now, if everything was joyful, and you know, we hear quite often historically where there was a phase where everybody wanted to go to they wanted their twin flame or their soulmate. And then there's other messengers like, the hell you do, because all that's telling you is going to
make your soulmate run the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an excellent point that you're making, because you don't know what you're asking for. You know, they say be careful, right, Scott? They say be careful what you're asking for,
Yeah.
right? And that's the truth, because here some people are saying she just asked her sister to respect her boundaries, and now and that I don't believe she does, and so she said her sister stopped calling her. You know, it's hurtful. It's but remember this, okay? We all come in with our own soul purpose and path, and it doesn't have to hold just because you're born into a family. They're just basically your you know, arrival point to the planet. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, yeah, you have lessons with them, but you're not all going to grow at the same rate, and you're not all, because you have different souls. You may be from the same earth family, but you might not be from the same soul family, and you're on different paths. So the reality is, some people may be stuck with people who are really rubbing them the wrong way. Am I making that obvious? Okay, so so when you say, it's really funny, because when you say, "Oh, your soul growth and all this," and it sounds so wonderful, it's not. It freaking rips your insides out. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like, let's just call it what it is. It's like an enema. You really need it, but it's just very difficult to deal with. It's extremely uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And once it's over with, then you know.
Hopefully feel better.
Hopefully feel better. But honest to God, when you're talking soulmates and you're talking twin flames and you're talking soul growth, we're not talking about a walk in the park. They're here. These are crafting us. These are molding us and forming us as souls. They're here to break us down and for us to build ourselves up. And one of the things that I thought of as you were explaining in the beginning, Vicki, was after so writing these, it's such a wonderful idea. It's such a wonderful thing. It's very therapeutic to get that out, you know, put words on that, and then, you know, name it, get it out, acknowledge it, and then get rid of it. But then what do we do? Do we go into hermit mode?
No, not necessarily. So as far as having someone who lives in the same home with you right now, where there were times, we know that there are households right now that the only time they were feeling joy is when everybody went to their separate places, or the husband went to work, or the wife went to work, and they're like, oh, finally I can be me. Well, we're forced to look at it right now, that we're having this awakening time. And when there is a relationship, the asleep language, the common man language, the one where we are in this 3D world, is we project outside of ourselves. We see that there's a feeling that we have internally, and we look outside of ourselves as who to blame. That's the first thing. It's our primitive mind that always wants to find solutions and answers. And the first target point is going to be the person who lives in your space or who is directly in your space. And you say, okay, I feel anger, or I feel violated, or boundary issues, or all of these things. And it's that person who's causing it. I'll invite a different language to look at it, that if everything was a mirror reflecting what we're supposed to learn, and we think it's that person, the opportunity for transformation is assume it's always you. Now we can say from an outside world, justified or not, from an outside world, well, this person did this thing, and I remember this thing, so I don't like how this was. I feel these emotions of violation or betrayal or anger or whatever those languages are. Then come from the language of saying, from the next higher level, coming from, okay, this individual is given the opportunity to grow. And if we recognize that everything is going on for an opportunity for growth. We're like, if you just break it down to the most simplest form, we're really lucky to be in a physical body right now during this time of transformation. We chose to come to have an experience to awaken consciousness, and here we are. So we look at it and say, again, like what you're saying, Louisa, it's not easy, it's not comfortable, but what are we here to experience? And if you give yourself permission to say, it's about me, what is this person triggering inside of me, waking up inside of me? Where's a shadow in me that isn't familiar at this point? Now, I will say from a soul experience, I have personally in my life right now, people that I adore, that there is a complete disharmony and disconnect. And if it doesn't make sense on the 3D world in this physical plane, then there's something bigger on the spiritual plane. And just trust that there's a message, that everything is working. I love the language that the universe is conspiring on your behalf. You're forced to look at it. And if it was a relationship that was, say, a previous coworker, a high school mate, then you can eventually move on without learning any lesson. But if it's somebody who's in your home, nature, God, divine, they're saying, look at it. And so how do we get past all of that? First of all, we have to identify what the emotions are that that person is triggering in us. What are the sensations that we're feeling within us? Because us continuing to feel those same emotions day after day are what's manifesting this to continue to play itself out. Once you do the work on yourself, once you get to a level of higher love and understanding and release the bondage of betrayal, or release the bondage of anger, once you release that and you rise out of it, by natural design of the universal law, it dissipates on its own. We are the macro and the micro playing off one another. And so when we recognize an opportunity for growth and take it as an opportunity, recognize we don't have to know why everything's the way we do, why it is, but we're here to learn and to evolve. And in order to do that, we have to adjust our thoughts, adjust the way that we're thinking about another person, take it within and go, okay, these are the emotions that I'm feeling, and I'm willing to do the work to release those emotions. And then that's a whole nother bag, but start with meditation and just ease into a different way, a different state of being. And it comes back to this gratitude and love. The more you reside in this world, the more that world tends to heal itself.
I'm kind of chuckling because some people are saying, well, that's a good, you can use that good excuse for social distancing, everybody going to their, everyone going to
That's
their
great.
own room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
great.
look, it's tough because it does challenge us. I think one of the things that might help is, I mean, one of the things that hurts is the ego. If we can't get over our own ego, we're just going to have problems no matter what we're doing. If you can't put yourself, no matter what's going on in the conversation, and this is one of the things I try to do myself as well. I try to put myself in the other person's position and I try to see from their perspective as best as you can, because their mind might think completely differently than yours. And so it's really hard. And that might be part of the problem, is that they just may have such completely different, even though they may be a family member. I mean, they may have just a completely different point of view. And uh, whether realistic or, there's some people who can't separate reality from illusion, and that's a little bit of a problem because you have to stay, and I think because you need to be grounded, you have to stay grounded. And Scott, I know we've talked about this a lot, about grounding, how important it is to ground and to meditate. Look, there's a lot. This is the opportunity for people, right? This is, an opportunity for people to get to know themselves really well. So meditation, I think, a lot of people don't connect with their high selves. They think ego or they may mistake ego for high self. Scott, do you want to talk about this a little bit? Because this is huge. If you can't
Oh,
get past ego
absolutely.
within and acknowledge that high self, you're never going to hear that voice and accept that guidance. And it's the wrong. So go ahead, please explain the
Oh,
difference.
Vicki hit on it. The higher love is coming in. And it is transforming us in ways that feel very uncomfortable because we haven't been in that higher. And so it's important to get out into nature because they found when you are in alpha waves, you're able to transmute energy better. And, get into the theta brain waves, you can transform not only your body, but your mind and bring in that higher love. But let me tell you, it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. I mean, Vicki and I this past week, it's not all been love and happiness. We've had transformation. And that transformation makes you feel uncomfortable. So we've had our difficulties dealing with that higher love even. Now, I will admit, Vicki's receiving a lot lately. And she goes into the bathroom, comes out, oh, you wouldn't believe what I just got. And
oh, why did you reveal something more personal?
Sometimes we're in there letting go, and we let stuff in to fill it.
You gotta love his honesty.
I apologize. That didn't sound right. But.
No, it's just fine. It's just, you guys, it's, but that's what happens when we're in the shower. Sometimes when we have those moments alone, when we're in the shower and we don't have to have distractions of the outside world around us. Sometimes that's when we get our downloads. That's when we get, not necessarily on the toilet, but it could be in the shower.
Been getting download after download, and it's been wonderful because I've been like going, oh, yes, this is great having information coming in all over our home. And so,
something about water, though.
Water grounds us.
Yeah.
I love being out in water. Outside in water, I feel so peaceful and grounded. And water is a very good grounding agent. So if you can go out and get in a stream, just put your feet in a stream, it will ground you. Yeah. We used to go out and run in the grass, but everybody's putting so many chemicals on the grass, it's a little hard, but we can transform those chemicals. Our minds are very powerful. And as you talk about ego, I met Wayne Dyer, and I just love that man because, ego was edging God out. And what have we been doing on the planet but denying there is a God, denying anything other than science, other than what we've been taught. And we edge God out with our egos. And we need to surrender to the fact that God is in charge of the universe. And thank goodness, God is love. God isn't anything else. God is love. Love is God. And we are transforming ourselves through that love. And that's why it's so beautiful, is we need to be in gratitude that God is love. If God was a tyrant, a slave owner, those kind of things, we'd go, oh crap, we're in for it now. But God is love. And we are actually transforming the planet into a more loving, higher vibratory place where we can raise our children and get ready for ascension.
So I just wanted to try to make some distinctions here, because some of the obstacles of achieving the things that we're talking about today are fear.
Oh, yes.
So I think people are afraid to love. They're afraid to feel love. They're afraid to give love because they're afraid to lose it. Because they've been hurt. We've all been hurt. We've all, there's a book called Necessary Losses. And it does describe how some losses have to teach us, are necessary in our life, in order for us to learn to be individual people. Eventually we lose that comfort of your parents, because you're evolving into your own adult mind and body. So you have to give up some things in order to get other things, for your own growth. I'm not saying you give up your relationship with your parents, but what I'm saying is that, you don't maintain that infant bond forever, obviously, and there's a reason for it. So we detach and we grow. So there's certain there's a loss involved in that, because you're not going to get that love and affection anymore. And then so we seek that in our private personal relationships as we get older. Some people had a very dysfunctional sense of attachment. That's kind of problematic, because when you learn, it's like learning the piano the wrong way. It's very hard to unlearn and then relearn the right way, because you already have that habit of doing it the old way, and they're very, very, very hard to break. But the obstacles to really achieving this is, I think, more than anything, we have ego, which we just talked about, but it's also fear, which we haven't really talked about. And we have to talk about fear, because it's really the main obstacle, I think, for most people. So how do we deal with fear? Fear of love, fear of intimacy. There's a lot of fear. Why are we so fear driven? Okay, yes, we've been programmed this way. That's a problem. How do we overcome fear?
So
I was telepathically saying, Vicki, you handle this.
Okay. You're a smart man. If more husbands, now look, this is a lesson for husbands too. Okay. So look at the balance here. Okay. It's like women are the communicators, the hunter-gatherer. I mean, the gatherers, men are the hunters. And it was funny because, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's very true. I mean, men are the hunters, right? And women are the gatherers. And the funny thing was, when my ex-husband would look for, butter, no, he would look for something in the refrigerator. He's like, he would open the door and say, "Where is it?" And I'd be like, "It's right in front of you." And what they're looking for is the problem.
All men are alike, man.
I know, but I'm going to tell you why. And it's in your defense, Scott. And all other men. Men are hunters. If it's not moving, you don't see it.
That's right. That's right.
If it's not moving in the refrigerator, you're not going to see it.
Men are visual.
Right?
It's hiding right in direct view, but it's not moving.
Now, women are the gatherers.
Can't kill it.
Yeah, women are the gatherers and the nesters. So, for us,
the nurturers, and
exactly.
And I don't want to alienate where anybody is on. There's a lot of fluid about the masculine, feminine energy right now. That's one of the other things that's going on, is transformation. So, in respect to fear, that we have two states of mind. It's either going to be the parasympathetic mind, which is ideal for healing, regeneration, digestion, and decision making. Well, then there's the sympathetic mind, and those, like when we've had conversations in the past, that 70% of our day is under stress, that 6 hours a day that we are activating the sympathetic mind. And let's just call it out. It's upgraded. There's an enormous amount of stress going on right now. And under stress, our brain has one role, and that role is to keep us alive. And so when we have, I'm sliding away.
You're sliding away. I like to center you.
In the stress state, fear is a stress state. We have the run, fight, or hide, right? Well, guess what? You can't do that in your house. You can't run away. And fighting's not going to go very well. And there's only so many places that you can hide. But even out on the outside world, just if we all look at whatever is going on in our home is a magnification of what's going on in the world, in global transformation, in our life as before. We're recognizing what doesn't fit anymore. We are disassociating what we think what we needed with what we really needed. Did we need to go buy another pair of shoes? Did we need to go browsing in a bunch of shops? Well, we can't do that right now, and we recognize we didn't really need that. We were again feeling this void that we had, and in our home, under a sense of stress, we can't release from our primitive state of this run, fight, or hide. And so we have all of this energy that's building up inside of us. Fear is one of the lower frequencies, and it gets stuck in our physical body. And when there's an emotion that doesn't get released, it crystallizes in different areas of the body. And so I know that people will go, yep, I recognize I'm more physical pain, more muscle pain, or tension or inflammation, what that is from an energetic standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, is it stuck energy that didn't get to be released. And that by nature, all beings can recalibrate after the threat is gone. But when that threat is consistently bearing down on us, and we have no way to release that, we're just accumulating an enormous amount of tension. And so when we were going through all of Scott's challenges that we went through, and when we had both of our health challenges, I experienced an enormous amount of fear. I know for a fact, fear is one of those experiences my soul came to just really dial in on. I've had a lot of opportunity to work on fear, but that gut rot feeling, that feeling of just like that stirring and nerves going down your arms, that feeling of just restlessness, you want to crawl out of your body. We've all had those experiences. And in order to transmute that, you need to calm the sympathetic nervous system response. Ways to do that: rest, recalibrate, sleep will help reset that. And it drops you into the different brainwave states, so it's all regenerative. Eating healthy food that doesn't take a lot of digestion to break down is another thing. Now doing some kind of from a mentoring standpoint, like even the right and burn or physical movement, doing some yoga or dance. I love, there's some great dance off things that you can see on YouTube or something, but turn on some music and move your body. If you can't move it in battle like we did primitively, you can still move energy out of your body and raise your energy up by turning on one of your favorite songs and dance in the kitchen. They're just having a physical massage and just stroking your body and just energetically just pushing it all off is a great way to just release all of that excess energy. And drinking water to help flush everything out of your system. These are all ways to recalibrate. But as far as fear, call it at the gate. When any emotion comes in, that emotion response lasts for about 90 seconds. Anything beyond 90 seconds is a memory of our physical body having a chemical response and us having an addiction to that chemical response. We become addicted to we all have some level of addiction, and it's an emotional chemical response. So when we recognize an emotion coming in, identify it, call it out right away, and move your attention somewhere else. You can come from a logical standpoint. Again, say it out loud if you have to, especially if you're in your home. Recognize, wow, I'm feeling fear right now. I like how this feels. Where do I want my attention? And shift it right then in that 90-second window, and move your attention on something that you have gratitude or love for. Recognize, for me, I can go right to my children or my grandchildren and just think about them. Put my attention, moving breath work, any kind of breath, just slowing the breathing, like slowing the exhale is a way that we signal the amygdala that you don't need to run or hide or fight. When you slow your breathing and your inhale and your exhale, and we've all heard the time when you see like a young mother who is struggling with a crying baby, and they'll say, set the baby down, walk away from the experience and breathe for a few minutes, take a couple of 9 or 10 breaths. It's all related to the same thing. We're calming the nervous system down, we're calming the amygdala down, and telling our body and mind that we're okay.
Well, I think we're having some viewers. It is Palm Sunday today, and I just wanted to let everybody know this is not, a religious conversation whatsoever, and it's not for everybody. Some people are looking for more of a religious structure, and that's just not what we offer here. It is not about dogma. It is about taking we're trying to offer solutions and taking personal responsibility in your life, and so that you can live a self-actualized or a more fulfilling life, and only you can do that. So the reason why I stay away from religion always on this channel is because it gives the power over to some other source, rather than you taking that power back and empowering yourself. That's the biggest issue I have with religion. And I'm not saying that it's you know, it wasn't intended. It was just intended to be a control mechanism on the planet. But I do respect people who follow it. There's a lot of wisdom in a lot of the teachings, in a lot of the Bible, for instance. And I have respect for a lot of Jesus's teachings. Of course, they've been adulterated. We have been missing a lot of them, and again, there's a reason for that. So we hope that you did benefit from our conversation today. We do realize this is a very highly religious time for many people. This conversation is only here to help you deal with your day-to-day life. And I do believe in many ways we're saying the same thing, and that the preachers are saying the same thing about, you know, well, no, they're not saying the same thing. They're saying, let God do it all. And quite honestly, this is the test, okay? The test is, if there's a mountain, right, and you need to move that mountain and you can't, and you ask God, God can move mountains. And there's two options, right? There's a shovel. There's a shovel. So who gets the shovel, you or God? And the answer is, we get the shovel, because God is the only one who can move mountains. So when the problem is something that we need to be shoveling ourselves, that's our duty to do. When it's a mountain that needs to be moved, that's when you go to our you know, our universe, our creator. But so it's kind of like it's not a trick. It's just, it makes you stop and pause for a moment. What are you really asking? You're asking, you know, someone else to solve your problems rather than you solve them for yourself. Because then you're always relying on some other source to always get you out of a jam or to fix your problems or whatever. So the thing is, it also cuts you off from your own connection, as we were talking before, like with ego. It cuts you off from your connection to source and your direct, you know, we have a T1 line. I mean, we have a T3 line, whatever you want to call it. We have a direct high-speed connection to source. So that means you know, that we're we don't need a middleman. We just need to meditate, listen to that voice within, not the ego. And that's what I was trying to make a distinction about. Now, I'm not talking about you. No, I'm not talking about some of the people in the chat think I'm talking about them, but I'm not. It's okay. It's not for everybody. So go ahead, guys.
Let me add something here.
Mm-hmm.
Fear is the absence of love. And like Vicki was saying, fear is a gateway to coming back into that love. And so the absence of love means that we actually are lacking. And so this transformation of the world is going to come out by us understanding we've been in the absence of love, and we need to come back into the presence of love. Now, presents, you know, you get presents for Christmas. Well, it is. It's a gift. It's a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
And so by moving back into the presence, letting go of that ego, in other words, surrendering to the fact that we need that love, the love will come in. And the meditation they did last night, you said you felt it right in your top chakra. Let me tell you, the first time I went to Fairfield, Iowa, and all the transcendental meditators were in the domes, I felt like my head was just spinning around. And it was an actual energy that connects us to that love consciousness, that divine intellectual knowledge. And when we connect with meditation, we can bring in a lot of love, a lot of energy that is the opposite of fear. And right now, I tell you, meditation is what I keep being told we all need to meditate. We all need to breathe, and breathe slower and deeper, and bring that love in, and let go of the fear.
Yeah, and I would like to add one other thing, what you're saying, Louisa. Two elements, actually. One is about religion, that the reason why we don't talk from a religious standpoint is because historically, religion has caused levels of separation. And right now, we need to come together. And when someone comes from any kind of language that is specific to their religion, that religion and that experience, they're taking as an opportunity. That's their path up the mountain. And we all have to honor and respect everyone's journey. And that's the way that someone may get information. But we cannot be in a level of separation right now. We need to come together individually in our own homes, that we're together, that right now, any language or anything that separates one from the whole is not, that's not where we're going. We are all coming together as a soul family, that we are all in unity. And when you talk about the mountain, that this challenge in the mountain, that from ancient wisdom, the mountain holds the cave, and inside the cave is the master within. And so that if we represent that mountain as all of these different religions and all of these things, there's many paths up the mountain, but within every mountain is the cave of wisdom. And if we recognize that it's our opportunity to go within and ask the connection to our divine self, that's where the wisdom is going to be found.
And we could move the mountain, but why? God is there. So let's ascend the mountain.
Well, that's because I think the mountain is really referring to more metaphorically as something that is obviously far bigger than anything you really have any control over. And it kind of like, you have to go to the serenity prayer to realize that you really have that. You have to really accept something you don't have any control over changing. And then, you know, you ask the universe to step in, you ask your creator to step in to assist if that's for your highest good. You know, if it's meant to be there, then you may need to accept that, at least for a time being. So yeah, know thyself. Isn't that what Jesus said? Know thyself. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about not living in denial, because denial is it's corrosive. Your denial, there's no relationships you can repair with denial. There's no relationships you can repair with fear. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, these are emotions that we've been conditioned, you know, and programmed to accept in our life. The first thing is, you're saying right from the beginning of our report today, Vicki, was give it a, you know, acknowledge what it is you're feeling. And if it helps you to write that down, and then, as Scott said, burn it or whatever you want to do with it. Give it, you know, make sure you're writing it and you're giving it a voice, whatever it is you're feeling, because it's very hard to know, but we all have to do that introspective work. That's why we're here. We're not here to do it for somebody else or have someone else do it for us. No way. So I do appreciate all of our viewers who come in. Not everybody, you know, the message isn't for everybody, you know. If it doesn't resonate, it's not your message. But, you know, we're all at different spiritual levels, so we'll you know, some parts of the message may resonate and with others, and not with others. So with some, but not with others. So take what, you know, resonates with you, and you know, leave the rest, because that may be a message for someone else. We are dealing with a lot of different people who do come and view GoldFish Report, especially from around the world, and we know that we have lots of global viewers who join us, as you have mentioned in your in the chat here, and we do appreciate you coming, and we do appreciate your messages. And I'm not trying to criticize anybody, but it's definitely a good idea to stay away from religion, because some people are not open-minded to understanding the bigger picture about religion. And you know, as Vicki said, it divides us, doesn't it? Well, you know, you're a Christian, or you're a Muslim, or you're a Jew, or you're this. It's like, another way to divide us. And sadly, for dictator tyrants, it's a brilliant way to keep people under control. They don't have to do it because we do it ourselves, right? They've got us so programmed, folks, that we're dividing ourselves over everything. We are so entrenched and programmed in division, their agenda for division, that we are on autopilot. They don't even have to do it anymore. They have succeeded completely in their brainwashing of humanity. And it's up
Well,
to us. It's up to us, though, to individually recognize that, and even as a group to come to realize that's what it is, and that unity and love is, and gratitude, as we're talking about today, is the only way we're going to succeed, as you're saying. And this is what the report is about today, this global transformation. We can only do this through unity, through love and gratitude, and we're not going to do it through division.
and
Right?
let go of your fear of change. Fear is that divisive energy. Fear is what men experience when they go to war. They don't want to kill somebody else, but the fear of being killed makes you kill somebody else.
Yeah.
And so we've got to let go of that fear, because it's the most
Right.
divisive emotion there is, believe it or not, and it cuts us off from love.
Right. And some people are saying, well, I disagree. They have not completely succeeded here. I think that they, we're breaking through the matrix. We're getting some help in seeing this. We've been living in this false matrix, this false sense of reality. So because the matrix is breaking down, we are finally able to see this, but they've been doing it to us for thousands of years. So
Oh,
they did succeed, right?
but now it's time to change. And
Exactly.
change, the river of change, makes you feel uncomfortable. And so that uncomfort actually makes you look for other things so you can get through this change.
Hmm.
And the best thing we can do is meditate and pray, because
Right.
through our combined efforts, this will give us each a shovel to move the mountain.
Yeah.
Because if we're all combined, we can shift the energy.
Well, the whole idea is that we each have our own role to play. We each have to grab a shovel and let God move that mountain, because right now what we need is we need a mountain moved, because we have this major dark, let's say silent enemy that the president talks about. And this is, we are at war with, dark energy and, evil, true evil. And it is being eradicated, but we couldn't do it without God's assistance and the assistance of the universe and whoever and whatever is actually behind it all. I can't tell you myself, but I think that's what's behind it. And we are getting help, because but we all have to do our own part. So grab a shovel, folks, and start digging, because we can do that. But
Yeah.
and the mountain is being
The
provided.
mountain is fear.
The
The
mountain.
mountain is those negative emotions. And so we need to each shovel out our negative emotions.
Yeah,
And that
exactly.
will move the mountain back into love and continuity and care for each other.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. We need, instead of hoarding toilet paper, we need to give it out to everybody. And we all have plenty.
And don't forget, we used to use cloth diapers, folks. So cloth works just as well. And as long as you clean and disinfect it, you shouldn't really worry about toilet paper.
It's that anima visual that really caught my eye. I'm like, oh, yeah, I do need toilet paper.
But that's the whole idea, is that it is really, growth is uncomfortable. As we grow, I mean, we go through uncomfortable changes, right? When our bodies grow, we have growing pains, right? Our body aches, our joints ache, whatever, because we're growing, and it's growing pains. It's labor pains. We're birthing a new society. We're birthing a new chapter, as you said accurately, Vicki, that this is for the history books. I mean, this is going to be written down in all time. This is preserved for all future generations to come what we're going through right now. And it isn't easy, but we're here to do it. And we have to be strong. I mean, we can't be shrinking violets. We have to be steel magnolias. All the women. We can't give in to this. The men, you've got to be there supporting the women, because we've really had a separation of. Again, they divided us by gender, so we haven't been able to serve in our, you want to say equal, whatever. We just have different strengths, and the women, the strength that the women bring have been suppressed, and so the role that women need to play on this planet has been suppressed and oppressed, and that needs to come into fruition now. And that's what the yin yang is all about behind me on the GoldFish Report. It's about reminding us that there is a balance, and it's not about, well, women can do what, a woman can do the same job as any man. It's not, that's not the conversation. The conversation is, what are you good at doing, and are you able to succeed and I would say bring to fruition, your own gifts and that you have to offer humanity, so again, but that comes from the division thinking that women have to be equal to men and men have to be equal to women. In law, yes. And in the world, there needs to be egalitarianism for sure, but I don't think that we need to look at ourselves that we need to do the same job as a man, because we know men cannot do the same job as women. Until
Well,
you
right.
can,
Not even
and
close.
I'm just saying that there are clear differences, okay? And we're made for these differences. We are physiologically made for these differences, and let's just
Viva la
accept.
difference.
Well,
So
we
to
came
wrap
in,
this up, yeah, to wrap
right,
this
we
up, go
came
ahead.
into different bodies to have a different role. And so if we just start at that level, we have different hormone expression, different muscle mass. We could dial into that all day long. The truth is, we are one, we are all in unity. However, we all have different attributes that we came, and women historically are the nurturers. They are the ones who gather the family together. They are the ones who feed the soul. And if a man carries that role, congratulations, that's awesome. We're certainly not saying someone can't do that role, but if you do have that capacity to do that role, do it with grace.
Yeah. And if your husband can't find anything in the refrigerator, you have to find a way to make it move. Keep your eye on the target, right?
That's awesome.
And quite honestly, that is the solution right there. So it's not their fault. That's just how they were designed. They can't find things in the refrigerator because they're hunters and it's not moving. So honestly, how are you supposed to? Right? It's camouflaged with all the rest of the things in the refrigerator. It's just not possible. Okay, so everybody, I just want to ask you guys, thank you so much for joining us and bringing this really beautiful, inspirational message to all of our viewers today. Is there anything else that you want to? I think I would love if Scott could give us all a little blessing or something. If you have a final comment or anything that you'd like to say that you didn't have a chance to comment on yet.
The blessing will be the comment. So do you want me to do that now?
Sure.
Okay.
Bless you. I was sneezing too.
Yeah, bless you, bless you. Bless all of you. Because we are in the midst of a, allergy season too. So everybody's sneezing quite a bit. So, okay. In the name of the Almighty, I am that I am, and by direction of the great divine director, we give you all a blessing for your behalf. We bless you that you will take this message and use it as transformation from fear into love. We bless you that it will be easy because God will assist you in bringing you back into the love of God. We are one with God, and we have been the ones to separate us from that love. We bless you that your fears will be allayed, that you will be able to dissipate them and release them and transmute them. These energies which are not serving your body, are not serving humanity, We bless you that you will be able to learn to meditate and breathe and get back into the parasympathetic nervous system, which will build and heal your body, that will release all of the fear from you. You will be able to calm down and come back into the love. We bless you that that love will fill your soul and it will be sustaining for you and give you nourishment and strength and energy as moving into the mass and the fear becomes more in the mass, and we need to become more energy, more higher vibration, more love. We bless you that you will join in meditation, even in a little bit, because it starts out as a seed and it will grow and become a beautiful addition to your life and bring you energy, bring you happiness, bring you bliss and love, and it will transmit and transmute the planet. We bless you with this, that the great human transformation will become a part of your life now. Bless you with that love, with that power. Do it in the name of the Almighty. I am that I am, the love of the universe. So be it.
So it is. Thank you so much, both of you. What a beautiful message today on this beautiful Sunday morning, even though it's a little overcast here on the East Coast. But thank you so much for joining us. I think, I have people saying position to receive. I feel a lot less crazy today. Thanks. What a time to be alive. Thank you and blessings to all. Just wonderful. People are so beautiful in our live chat here. And we should all be thankful to be here at this time. It's truly biblical. In that sense, it truly is, really. And let's see, what else do we have? Some people are laughing about the toilet paper comments, but it has been a challenge. So it's we need daily meditation, absolutely. And it was a beautiful meditation last night, definitely. So everyone is just being very thankful to you for being here and bringing your beautiful message. People have been commenting very much that they, So it says, thank you, Louisa and the Werners. Your hearts are golden. Very beautiful messages from our viewers. So thank you very much. And as we go through the chat, there's a lot of other beautiful messages. So thank you so much for everyone for joining us. And to both of you, thank you so much. And I look forward to having you come back again. Be well. Blessings to all. Thank you. So we have more.
And please support Louisa, because this platform is available because of her. And, she lost all of her income because Google quit giving them any money from viewers or anything. So if you have something you can support Louisa with, please do it. I was told to give that message because Louisa's not one to ask for much, but she needs your assistance and your help. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's nice of you. It's true. I mean, if we can't keep our subscriptions for all of our equipment going, then it's the end of GoldFish Report, and it really is kind of hanging that precariously at this time. So because of all the censorship, it has had an impact, and that's what they're trying to do. But my will is far stronger than theirs. So.
Thank God.
I'm not, I know. So thank you both. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful Sunday. Hang in there, everybody. We're all in this together. GoldFish Report is going to continue to be here as long as we can, and as long as we're all in quarantine to try to help cope with what we're dealing with. But, an attitude of gratitude, I think, will help get us a lot farther.
And Vicki, I thank this dear wife of mine too, because she is a fund of knowledge. She has studied this stuff far more than I have. Mm-hmm. And so I thank her for her knowledge and wisdom.
Absolutely. I'm absolutely honored to have both of you actually come on, and Vicki, you're just an amazing woman, and I'm so proud to have you come on, because there's a lot of women out there who you show a command of your wisdom, and that's the difference. It's not like you're taking your wisdom or what you've learned and you're like, lecturing anybody. This is very different. This is the most beautiful energy, how you transmute your energy And let me just say one more thing before we close. The Werners carry this energy, not out of luck. You know, they walk through the valley of the shadow of death together, and they came out together and stronger. They earned when they sit here in their joy, that's hard earned joy that they are sharing and expressing with us. And that's all the difference. And the whole idea is that they've overcome their obstacles, and they were almost, you know, the mountain was moved eventually. But, you know, it's about transcending our obstacles, and that's what they've done. And let me tell you, that's why I love to have the Werners come on, because they have transcended the most, challenging parts of their life, their marriage, and what was going on in their world, and it completely transformed them, and they transmuted it. That's the difference, and that's the example. And of course, their message in addition to that. And that's what makes my interviewing them so amazing, because I know that it's not like they're just coming on to talk. I know that what they've been through, and that they're able to come on with the joy and express the joy that they have was earned. That's all I can say, was earned through the salt of the earth, through the salt of their
Thank you.
tears.
Thank you, thank you,
Truly.
thank you. And
So I love you
we
both
love you
very
and
much.
honor all of you, and we love all of you. You're
Yeah.
all a part of this. So
Right.
you.
Okay,
Thank you,
guys.
Louisa.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for keeping me healthy, because without these two, I wouldn't be in such good shape. But I thank you both very much for your care of me, and they do care for me very
You
well. Very
deserve
good.
it.
Yes, we do.
You do. Thank you very much. So Scott's info for his website is in the description section of the video here. And Vicki, I'll add your website as well. You know that they also do mentoring folks. So if you really feel that you need some guidance and mentoring, you can go to their website and check that out. And I'm just so grateful that you came here to share your wisdom, because, like I said, you have to walk through the valley of shadow of death, folks. And when you do, you then, and you survive, and you come out the other side, you absolutely have something to offer other people. So having said that, happy Palm Sunday for those who are observing, and you have a great day. And we'll be back tomorrow with another political theater with the Fets, of course. So keep an eye out for that report. So everybody have a great day. And this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report. And I want to thank all of our live chat viewers as well. Thank you very much for being in the chat and for your wonderful comments. And we'll see you next